Good evening, I'm your host Camelia and you're watching KiniNews. Anwar Ibrahim has not specified which seat he would contest in GE15. However, the opposition leader said he was ready to contest in seats held by traitors to PKR and Harapan.
Opposition leader Anwar Ibrahim has declared that he was ready to contest for a parliamentary seat held by a traitor of PKR and Pakatan Harapan in the 15 general elections. Although he did not specify which seat he would be contesting, he said the seat must have an added advantage for the party and coalition. The PKR president said that he would certainly consider a seat held by a traitor, for example, if the party wanted him to contest for the parliamentary seat in Gombak, then he would contest it. He said this during a program with journalists organized by the Club Wartawan Kuala Lumpur and Selangor yesterday. Some of the MPs who had deserted PKR and joined Bersatu were Azmin Ali, Zuraida Kamarudin, Saifuddin Abdullah, Rashid Hasnan, Santara Kumar, Ali Biju and Willy Mongin. During the event, Anwar also denied that he was afraid of defending his current seat in Port Dickson. He said the sentiment and support of voters in Port Dickson were much stronger than when he was contesting there in the by-election in October 2018.
DAP chairperson Lim Guan Eng has called on PAS to stop viewing non-Muslims in the country as political opponents.
DAP chairperson Lim Guan Eng has reminded PAS that non-Muslims in the country are Malaysian citizens and are not political opponents. He said non-Muslims should not be downgraded but instead embraced in an inclusive nature by any responsible political party that seeks to unite the nation. Lim said this in response to PAS spiritual leader Hashim Justin's statement to Malaysia Kini on Tuesday that the party's efforts to unite the Ummah are not exclusive to Malay Muslim groups such as Amna and Bersatu only. Hashim had said that any party, regardless of religion, that agrees with the Ummah unity agenda can approach PAS for negotiations. According to Lim, by saying that PAS is willing to negotiate with non-Muslims who must first agree with prioritizing the Ummah unity agenda, PAS appears to be making them out as political enemies. Lim added that Hashim's statement was consistent with the open hostility and contempt shown by PAS President Abdul Hadi Awang towards the rights and dignity of non-Muslims. He said these include blaming non-Muslims for being the root of all corruption, accusing non-Muslims of threatening the political power of the Malays and interfering in non-Muslim cultural events such as wanting to ban concerts, Oktoberfest and Bonodori, among others.
While we're on the topic of PAS, the party's deputy president has insisted that PAS will work with both Bersatu and UMNO for the sake of the unity of the Ummah.
PAS Deputy President Tuan Ibrahim Tuan Man believes that there shouldn't be an ultimatum for his party to choose between Perikatan Nasional or UMNO in the 15 general election. He said what was important is that they had to unite as this would be better for the country's future. Tuan Ibrahim insisted that PAS will work with both Bersatu and UMNO for the sake of the unity of the Ummah, adding that there is still time to unite the two parties to face GE15.
Saya fikir dua-dua perlu duduk bersama. Sebab Bersatu ni pun sebahagian besar pimpinan UMNO sebelum ini. Kalau kira sejarah politiknya PAS lebih lama berlawan dengan UMNO. Jadi berbanding dengan Bersatu, saya fikir ada ruang untuk kita duduk dan kita bincang.
This came after Muhyiddin, who is PN chairperson, said PAS would soon have a cut-off date to decide its future in PN and whether to continue pursuing cooperation with UMNO. Muhyiddin had previously made UMNO-led BN his coalition's main enemy for the next general election, contradicting PAS's stance on the matter. PAS, which is part of the PN coalition, has argued that having all three Malay Muslim parties united would be the basis of a strong and stable government.
However, it seems like PAS might choose a side after all. PAS spiritual leader Hashim Justin was reported to have said that his party may make a final decision on the matter by next week.
A final decision on whether PAS will side with UMNO or Bersatu may come next week. This is according to PAS spiritual leader Hashim Justin. According to Free Malaysia Today, Hashim said that PAS President Abdul Hadi Awang has already met with UMNO and Bersatu chiefs, and PAS is now deliberating the matter. FMT quoted him as saying that they will meet to decide on whether to continue with Muafakat Nasional or not. Hashim added that PAS hopes that the Malay Muslim parties will unite. He hoped for a positive outcome and said that their main goal is to have a united front against Pakatan Harapan. Previously, Bersatu Chief Muhyiddin Yassin said that he expected PAS to decide soon on the party's direction in PN and whether they will pursue anything with UMNO or not. He added that they will make a decision and perhaps state a cut-off date after which they will have nothing to do with UMNO. Muhyiddin, who is also the PN chairperson, made UMNO-led BN his coalition's main enemy for the next general election, contradicting PAS's stance on the matter. PAS had argued that having all three Malay Muslim parties united would be the basis of a strong and stable government.
Moving on to UMNO, Ahmad Maslan believes that the public will not forget how they suffered under both the Pakatan Harapan and Perikatan Nasional governments.
UMNO Secretary General Ahmad Maslan believes that the public will not forget the suffering they experienced under the Pakatan Harapan and Perikatan Nasional governments. For Harapan, Ahmad said the Rakyat will not forget the promises they failed to fulfill after the 14th general election. He told UMNO Online that out of the 10 things they promised to do in their first 100 days of rule, they probably kept 1 or 2 promises. He said if you were to check the Harapan manifesto, there were many things that were left as just Harapan or hope. Meanwhile, for the Perikatan Nasional government, Ahmad said the people would not forget how they were confined to their homes for a long time and how a state of emergency was declared just so the coalition could stay in power. The emergency the government imposed on the pretext of guarding people during the pandemic was actually a political emergency to enable them to stay in power. According to Ahmad, the government needs to be strengthened without other parties, especially Bersatu, for the sake of the Rakyat and the country. He said for the 15th general election, UMNO hoped to become a really strong government that can attract other parties for a stable Malaysia. He said this is not for anyone's political interest, but for the good of the Rakyat and the country.
The prosecution in Luqman Nur Adam's contempt case has called for the court to impose a higher punishment against him to protect public interest.
The Court of Appeal heard today that a 1-month jail term imposed by the Kuala Lumpur High Court against Luqman Nur Adam for contempt is insufficient and should be increased. Deputy Public Prosecutor Muhammad Dusuki Mokhtar told the court that this should be done to safeguard the dignity of the administration of justice. He said the prosecution is seeking at least 3-month imprisonment for the former UMNO Supreme Council member to show the seriousness of the offence. The hearing today was in relation to the prosecution's appeal against the court's decision on July 15 last year to impose a 1-month jail sentence against Luqman for contempt of court. The court had found Luqman guilty of contempt of court for intimidating a witness in former Premier Najib Abdul Razak's 2.28 billion ringgit corruption trial. The alleged threat was against Najib's former Special Officer Amhari Effendi Nazaruddin, who is the 8th prosecution witness in the ongoing 1MDB graft trial. Meanwhile, Luqman's lead counsel Muhammad Shafi Abdullah countered that his client was only practicing his public duty when he lodged a police report against Amhari. According to Bernama, Shafi said Luqman had lodged a report after Amhari Effendi admitted to have received money from fugitive businessperson Joe Low and questioned how it could be intimidation. After hearing oral arguments from both the prosecution and Luqman's legal team, the Court of Appeal reserved judgment and fixed October 3rd for case management to set a decision date.
UMNO President Ahmad Zahid Hamidi has urged Putrajaya to declassify the report by a special task force which probed claims made in the book written by former Attorney General Tommy Thomas.
UMNO President Ahmad Zahid Hamidi has called on the Cabinet to make public a report by a special task force which probed claims made in the memoir by former Attorney General Tommy Thomas. In a statement today, Zahid said the report was important because it could potentially shed light on selective prosecution during the Pakatan Harapan administration. Zahid also hoped that rumors of the current Attorney General recommending that the report not be made public is not true. He said delays will only sow doubts and the report should be made public soon without hiding any of the facts. Zahid expressed concern on the issue as some of the present cabinet members were former cabinet members during the Pakatan Harapan administration. He said some cabinet members had worked together with Thomas for 22 months and this raises the suspicion that they would want some things to remain secret. Thomas had published his book titled My Story, Justice in the Wilderness last year. The book covered his stint as the Attorney General from 2018 to 2020. Among others, he addressed the appointment of judges, alleged interference by the executive in the judiciary, and claims of selective prosecution. Last December, the cabinet set up a task force to probe the claims, and the task force is said to have completed its report last month. It was reported that they would present their findings to the cabinet tomorrow.
And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook for the latest news updates. If you'd like to support independent media, do consider subscribing to MalaysiaKini.com. I'm Camelia. Thanks for watching.